Verden. To the north of Cintra, across the Yaruga and west of Brokilon forest, lies the kingdom of Verden. Verden has never been a big kingdom. Instead, it spent most of its time being a vassal state to other larger kingdoms. Although we don't know much about this kingdom from the events before the books, we can assume that they spent most of the history trading, fishing and fighting the Dryads based on their location. Urviel, who was the king, wanted to have the Dryads gone so he would have more land to call his own, as well as that he had a deep personal hatred towards Eithne. He even went as far as to offer rewards to those who brought him scalps of the Dryads. Due to this hatred for the Dryads, he wanted his subjects to feel the same way about them, and therefore he had soldiers of his attack merchants' caravans and make it look like the Dryads were actually the ones who killed the merchants. Urviel's hatred for the Dryads went deep. It's not known why he hates them so much, however most likely it has to do with him hating all non-humans, as well as him being accused of some other serious stuff. Urviel tried to get more power and influences whenever he could. After Rugner of Ebbing, the father of Pavetta, had died, he proposed to Calanthe. However, she turned him down. Even though marriage for kings and queens often comes down to increasing power and creating alliances, Verden was already a vassal state to Cintra, so she had nothing to gain, as well as that he wasn't the best looking man around. From the Lady of the Lake book, the following description of Urviel is given by Ciri once she sees the king of the elves for the first time. Ciri was shocked. Every time they had spoken of a king, she had imagined someone like Urviel of Verden, to whom she had been very close to becoming his daughter at one occasion. When thinking of the king, she remembered him smelling of onions and beer. A smelly, fat man with swollen eyes and a red nose stuck out from over his beard, and wielding a scepter, in his hands covered in brown spots and bitten nails. Years after Calanthe had rejected him, he wanted to try and unite the families once again, by having his son Gistren marry Ciri. However, Ciri didn't want to marry him, and fled into the Brokilon forest instead. Among her reasons why she didn't want to marry him were that he was fat, ugly, stupid and had a bad breath. Urviel sent men after her to make sure she returned. Among these men was the Baron Freixenet of Ham, who was the brother of the king's wife. Once, sometime before these events, Geralt had cured the Baron of a curse which turned him into a cormorant, which is a seabird. Freixenet, however, didn't return as quickly as the king had hoped. As after Geralt convinced Eithne not to kill him, she decided that they could use him to father a few Dryads, which was less enjoyable than Freixenet had first imagined it to be. With Ciri showing how much she disliked the idea of marrying Gistren, Calanthe eventually cancelled the engagement. Soon after, the First Northern War broke out. Verden wasn't in too much danger, as they were across the Yaruga and had 3 strongholds guarding it: Nestrock, Rosrock and Bodrock. However, with Cintra being taken by Nilfgaard, the kingdom became independent. This didn't last for long, however, as when the Second Northern War broke out, Urviel surrendered, even before Nilfgaard was in his land. In time of contempt, the following is said at Foltest's court. A very bad thing happened. King Urviel of Verden paid tribute to Emperor Emhyr. He opened the fortresses on the lower Yaruga, those that should have watched our flanks. In Nestrock, Rosrock and Bodrock are currently Nilfgaardian crews. Thanks to that, Urviel kept his royal title. His feudal lord is Emhyr though. Formally, Verden remains a kingdom. It's not a de facto Nilfgaardian province. You understand, I hope, what that means? Situation has changed radically. The fortresses of Verden control the delta of the Ruga, and they are in hands of the Nilfgaardians. Because of that, it is out of the question to cross the river. However, not everyone in Verden agreed with Urvil's decision. As soon after, Army Group West, under the command of Joachim de Wet, entered the kingdom, there were guerrillas rising up to fight the invader. The numbers started out small. Around the winter they had about 500 men. However, Joachim de Wet screwed up everything as much as he could, as he decided the best way to deal with the guerrillas was to attack and punish the civilians. Resulting from his actions, by spring the guerrilla army was made up about almost the entire kingdom's population. Everything took a turn. As compared to the other two generals that led the invasion, with Menno Coehorn in Army Group Center and Ardo Abdahi in Army Group East, Joachim de Wet's Army Group West actions ultimately resulted in Nilfgaard losing the war. Because he slowed down his army by fighting guerrillas as well as out of protest for Emir not wanting to marry his daughter, Army Group Center had to wait before they could push further into Temeria. This resulted in the north being able to regain the strength, while Nilfgaard couldn't do much. Within Verden itself, also something happened. Kistren had organized an uprising against his father, in which King Urvil was killed. Kistren was now the new king of Verden. The Battle of Brenna resulted in more courage from the guerrillas. They drove away all the Nilfgaardians in Verden, except for the forces that were defending the 3 strongholds on the banks of the Ruga. During the war, Verden was aided by Skellige, who was attacking the Nilfgaardians on the coast. This greatly helped the guerrillas in lasting so long against the might of the Nilfgaardian Empire. With the war coming to an end, King Kistrin of Verden was present and helped shape the peace treaty of Cintra. Verden was now an independent kingdom, not tied to Nilfgaard or Cintra in any way. And as far as is known, they continued to exist for centuries after. That was it for Verden. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments. Till the next video. Bye.